but I might as well introduce myself. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Mike Totebusch. I'm the Missouri Wing Director of Cadet Programs. A little bit about myself is started in CAP in 1987, went through the entire cadet program, got my spots award, went on to be a senior member. But that was after college and, young, new in my career, wasn't real active in CAP, kind of faded out for a while, came back in. Then they kind of ended up being a squadron commander for a hot minute. Yeah, that was fun. And, but my kids were young. My ex-wife was not a fan of CAP. So she kind of was like, why do you want to go play Army and all that stuff? I'm like, it's not even the Army, dude. Seriously. But basically I faded out. And in 2015, Jen Smith brought me back in. She goaded me to come back into the program. And I was like, you know what? The kids are older. The wife is now an ex-wife. So why not? So here I am. And then they conned me into doing this job. But cadet programs. Obviously, this past year has been a challenge. I don't think we have to really remind anybody of the problems that we've had, right? Talk about a little bit about the numbers. Some of the stuff you guys heard earlier today. At the start of the pandemic, there were 27,994 cadets. 12 months later, 20,374. Nationwide, and this is stuff I pulled last week. Nationwide, we've lost over 7,600 cadets. In the Missouri Wing, there were 469. 12 months later, 340. We're down 129 cadets wing-wide. I'm sure every one of you guys are kind of nodding your heads thinking, yep, you're thinking of the cadets that you've lost over the course of the last year. This is kind of the shocking part about it. You look at it. If the average Missouri Wing squadron has 20 cadets, this 129, equals a loss of 6 squadrons. 6 squadrons gone. Yes?
My question, if they've transferred to out of state, is that in the...
That does filter in, but that's a very, very small percentage of the losses over the course of the year.
See, we're at Whiteman and they come and go. Every year they just come and go.
Right, but this number that I'm talking about, I didn't go in there and pull those specific transfer statistics, but I would say maybe might account for 10 total cadets. Simple fact is we've lost a ton of cadets over the course of the last year. And just like National, Missouri Wing was on its on trajectory to be as highest membership levels in the past 30 years. A little disturbing, right? I mean, especially when you just look at just the fact of 469 to 340. That's huge. Obviously, what caused it, right? Halt to in-person activities. That shocked the system for everybody. We all know that cadets are activity driven, right? Cancellation of local activities, encampments, NCSAs. Cadets, when they're not engaged, when they're not actually doing stuff, they very quickly lose interest. They're not in uniform, they lose interest. Why do I want to join on this? Switch to virtual format. Not all squadrons were effective in this rollout. Not all of our squadrons did a good job of actually pushing out an online format. Many cadets didn't have the access to the virtual meetings. If they didn't have good Wi-Fi, they didn't have necessarily maybe even a good home support system to get them on these meetings, they didn't attend. They don't attend, they lose interest. Next thing you know, they fade out and they're gone. Loss of income, right? How many different families in CAP lost income, and therefore that membership fee was suddenly a luxury they couldn't afford. Zoom fatigue. I think everybody in this room has experienced Zoom fatigue in some way or another. You're tired of looking at your face on a screen. The only segment of society that this has benefited is actually plastic surgery, because a lot of people are getting work done because they're looking at themselves on the screen. So they're saying, oh, I need to get this fixed. Oh, sorry, that's a whole other thing. After extended shutdown, the virtual format's grown tiring, right? We all know that. Squadron commanders have gotten tired of doing the virtual format. There's only so many things you can do online. There's only so many speakers you can bring in. There's only so many things you can talk about. So everybody gets tired. But even though all of those detractors, we kept on doing what we needed to do. Some of the stuff is like we just talked about earlier this morning, right? Largest coordinated effort since World War II. Over 32,000 volunteer days of service and counting. And granted, that was, what did they say this morning? It was over 42,000. This is my math. No, this is old statistics. I actually did the math right. This statement right here, CAP has successfully risen to meet the needs of the nation during the pandemic. As a total force partner, CAP seamlessly complements our efforts, provide exceptional capability and capacity to assist the Air Force and our citizens during this national crisis. General Pierce, right? Commander 1st Air Force. Does he have to say that? Nah. You know, I mean, if we weren't doing our job, if we weren't doing great things, he doesn't have to bring it. But if you guys follow social media at all, you'll notice that 1st Air Force publishes a lot about CAP. They are constantly posting stuff about CAP and the good things we do. Squadrons started to adapt to the changes, started to figure things out. March of last year, everybody was kind of going, what are we supposed to do? But over the course of the year, we figured it out. Some squadrons held steady or increased membership. We do actually have a few squadrons in the wing that not only didn't lose people, they actually have grown. That, you know, every week they're bringing in more people and more people. New ideas were born. How many of you guys have gone over the course of the past year and a year ago it was, no, we can't do that. There's no way we can do it that way. CAP doesn't operate that way. And now you're going, yeah, you know what? This works. CAP is being transformed. Online training, guest speakers, and more, right? New ways of engaging our membership developed. We started to figure things out. Under phase 1, orientation flights continued. Granted, some groups have done better than others. And, you know, weather does play into it, but get your cadets up flying. Small group training, small group meetings. Suddenly you figured out that, okay, we're in phase 1. That means we can meet in groups of 10 or less. Maybe you don't bring the entire squadron in. Maybe it's just a flight. Maybe, you know, you do things on a smaller scale to get them out and get them working. And even under all of this, 4, now 5, Missouri Wing Cadet, well, 4 achieved their spots award in 2020. We now have our 5th during this pandemic. That's unheard of. I'll tell you right now, I keep track of the spots awards that come out. Missouri Wing is kicking butt, flat out kicking butt. All right, how do we recover? Everybody knows we're in phase 2, right? If you haven't already, you need to get your members in a uniform and meeting now. If you're not doing it now, you need to get moving and get people out and doing stuff. You want to continue that virtual option for members and they may not be comfortable returning in person, right? Maybe their parents aren't comfortable with them coming back. Maybe you have senior members that are in CAP that aren't coming back or in higher risk categories. So continue the virtual option, but you need to be getting people doing stuff. Plan and conduct weekend activities. I can't stress this enough. Get out there, get them doing things on the weekends. We're all busy. I get it. But we've got to get our people moving and doing. Orientation rides, ES training, leadership training, curry weekends. How many of you guys know what a curry weekend is? All right, curry is their first strike, right? First promotion. You go through and you do the wingman and all that other training. It's actually a set out program in CAP. You can do an entire curry training weekend and you can get them their first stripe in 1 weekend. You start them from the beginning, roll through the entire weekend. By the end of the weekend, they're promoted to their first stripe. It falls under the quick start, right? So you're engaging them. They're actually developing that knowledge base right there on the spot in a condensed weekend, and it's going to help your retention in the long run. Focus on high impact, maximum involvement training. Don't go back to the business as usual model, okay? Everybody's got their schedule, right? The first Monday of the month, you wear your blues, you do these things. Second Monday is aerospace education. Third Monday is, maybe ES. Fourth Monday is PT. Most squadrons follow a very set model. As of right now, break out of that. Break out of that model. You still have to get all the training in, but break out of that model and really focus on as much high impact, high involvement stuff as you possibly can to generate that excitement back. we're talking about the existing members, right? We're talking about the existing cadets that have they're demoralized. A lot of them are demoralized. I've sat on Zoom calls with some squadrons in the wing, and the squadron commanders have said, hey, can you jump on here just to give somebody else to talk to, just to kind of pep them up, just trying to try and liven them up. They're tired. They're bored. They're saying, why should I do this anymore? So get out there and start do the fun stuff in CAP, do the exciting stuff to bring them back in. Yes.
Stepping back, 4 spots, is that an increase or is that normal for wing?
Actually, with the 4 spots cadets, it has tied a record as far as the number of spots cadets that Missouri Wing has earned in a single calendar year. That has not happened since the 1990s. However, we've actually broken the record in a rolling 12-month period, because now we've had 5 spots cadets in a rolling 12-month, and we're on track to smash some 1990s records. We have not seen this number of spots cadets produced literally since 1990s when I got my spots. It's been that long. All right. Hey now. It's a very rigorous thing. Now, one thing I will say about the spots award, okay, is there is not a single cadet that walks in your doors. You see that new cadet walking in your doors. There's not a single one of those cadets that cannot achieve their spots. Every single cadet that joins Civil Air Patrol can get their spots award. It literally comes down to, do they want it bad enough? Do they have the determination? Do they have the support structure? Do they have senior members that are helping push them along and challenging them to get to that next level? But every single cadet can earn the spots award. If you think about it, it's a 4-part test: PT, leadership, aerospace, essay. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that hard, but it is one of the hardest things that a cadet will ever do. It all comes down to what is their mindset and what's in their heart. So always push them to the next level. This one, contact members who have failed to renew or have not been participating. This is actually is a requirement in 60-1. How many of you guys know what 60-1 is? 60-1 is the Cadet Programs regulation. It is a regulation that governs everything, how to run the cadet program, how to do things. 60-2 is your cadet protection policy guide or regulation. So you need to know 60-1. If you have cadets, you need to read 60-1 front to back. Don't have to memorize it. Don't have to know everything in it. You have to know where to find stuff when you need to get it, because there are very significant things that you need to know within that regulation. It literally tells you how to run the cadet program. Contact members who fail to renew. So if suddenly they're not showing up, you need to be getting on the phone and saying, hey, where you at? We notice you haven't been participating. Try to draw them back in. It goes back to the high impact activities. Okay. Hey, this is what we got going on. We really want you to come back. Try to draw them back in. If it's a financial thing, find out what's going on. Hey, if there's anything you can do to help them out, but try to get them back. We don't want to lose the cadets because there's so much they can gain in the program.
Colonel, if I may, in that last statement there, though, if they fail to renew and their membership lapse, they fall out of e-service. How do you go backwards to gain that contact information when you can't find it?
I would hope that you have some system in place that's already either a phone tree, cadet staff that has that contact information, something along those lines. Yes.
So you are required to keep personnel records for a certain amount of time after they lapse. So that should be, if you're going in and just downloading the member search report, that'll include their full contact details. If you're not currently doing that, I highly recommend that you do that.
And if you're sending out emails to them, it's automatically saved in your email address.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't respond, they don't respond. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. But you should have at least an email address, parent email address, or hopefully some sort of a phone contact information. A lot of squadrons will keep the emergency contact forms on file. A lot of squadrons will keep them in the van, so they have them literally for the entire squadron that they can just pull out the forms and go. So hopefully you would have that stuff at your disposal. If not, might help to build out that file.
That's why you have deputy commander of cadets, or cadets.
Right. Yep.
And I just had this happen, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's the first place I went, just to get her number, so I could call her mom. But I interacted with them on a regular basis on Facebook Messenger, on the parents anyway. So I just sent them a message to find out what's going on.
Oh, one thing I do want to back up when we talk about the Zoom meetings is the rule of 2 still applies with Zoom. Just because you're in a Zoom meeting, it doesn't mean that you can be one-on-one with a cadet. You still have to follow those guidelines. All right, so recruitment. Pre-pandemic, CAP was setting a 30-year high record for membership, right? We know that. Here's your catchphrase, right? There's so many people in the world today during this pandemic. How do I help? How do I get involved? I want to do something, to help out in this pandemic. Guys, we're literally that ticket. We are literally the ticket to help. How they can help their fellow man. Use this. Hey, do you want to get involved in pandemic recovery? Do you want to get involved? Are you looking for that way to serve your country, to serve your neighbor? Come join us. Come see what we're doing. Recruitment is a responsibility of everybody. Majority of squadrons. I've fell in this trap myself. You look, well, I got a recruiting and retention officer. That's their job. Recruiting is their job. If you're leaning on your recruiting and retention officer to do the recruiting from your unit, you're going to fail. That is the person that coordinates the stuff. That is the person that, recruiting and retention, they're the ones that generally will be doing those phone calls, the ones that fall off and stop showing up. But if you're saying, yep, all of our recruiting, we got a recruiting officer, and you just say, I just let them worry about it, this is probably why your squadron is losing members or not growing at best. So, recruitment, how do we do all this stuff? Your unit's website and social media pages are your advertising in the digital age. If you don't have social media pages, you need to open them now. Facebook is for us old people. Literally, Facebook now is an adult thing. Instagram right now is what teenagers are on. Do not do Snapchat. I'm just telling you, don't do Snapchat. Focus on a public facing Facebook page and an Instagram page. Instagram is literally sharing pictures. How many of you guys follow Cadet Programs Instagram and Facebook pages? We're posting constantly, right? The social media pages need to be public facing, constantly updated. All right. So you don't want to let them stagnate. So what that means is you're going to need more than one person that has the password and does the posting. This is where you got to be careful. All right. Number one, you never want to have your social media pages only have one person have access, because that person leaves. You would be surprised the number of dormant Facebook and Instagram pages out there belonging to squadrons because one person opened it, that one person left, and it's out there forever. So think about what happens. I'm a prospective member. Okay. I'm a cadet. Heard about this thing called CAP, or maybe I'm just interested in the military. So I'm scanning through and I'm just looking for all kinds of different military pages and finding it. So suddenly I find the ABC Squadron in Missouri's Instagram page or Facebook page. And I look at it, I'm like, this looks cool. But nothing's been posted on it since 2016. And I go to the contact information, and it's for somebody that hasn't been in CAP since 2016, and their phone number's changed. They have no way to get in hold of them, or they don't answer the phone. Suddenly, well, I guess CAP isn't a thing, and I walk away. You lose that prospective member. You need multiple people that have access and they're doing the posting. You need to be careful though with who you allow to post. Don't just turn it over to a cadet and say, have at it, Sparky. Because next thing you know, they're going to be posting stuff that's not allowed, or stuff that's questionable, or not putting out the best image of your squadron that you want to portray. You want to put your best foot forward in the digital space. Which leads me into some of the rest of the stuff. When posting your photos, ensure that your members, both cadet and senior member, are in proper uniforms and meet grooming standards. The image you portray to the public has a direct result on recruiting. I follow the majority, those of you that have pages, I follow these pages. I see the stuff that you guys are posting, and it makes me cringe when I see cadets and senior members that are way out of uniform, definitely out of grooming standards. I've, you know, cadets that, all right, everybody knows about the waivers that came out during the coronavirus, right? One of them was the haircut waiver. How many of you guys actually read the haircut waiver? Okay. What does the haircut waiver say? It says grooming standards are waived while the businesses are shut down. A lot of people have read that and said, oh, there's a haircut waiver. I can grow my ponytail now. That's not the way it works. Okay. That's why I sent out that email a while back that said, hey guys, party's over. Time to get your haircut. But we're still seeing cadets out there that are really flaunting the regulations. And a lot of senior members I've seen, they don't want to take that step and confront that and say, look, you got to do it. You know what, buddy, you got to get your haircut. And no, you can't just kind of shave the sides and then have everything else go poof. Okay. Exactly. You actually have to follow the regs. They're real simple. CAP regulation 39-1 uniform manual tells you everything you need to know. Okay. But
2,000 pages or whatever, but yeah, whatever.
it's easy. It's easy. But when you really think about it, okay, think about that prospective cadet again. Okay. That goes out there and they find your page and they want to join. They think about joining and then they go, well, they look sloppy. Why do I want to be in that group? A senior member that's former Air Force recently contacted a colleague of his that's current Air Force and said, hey, I want to see about getting my squadron in and doing a tour. This guy's got access to some really cool stuff that they can get a really cool tour. So his buddy's like, all right, let me take a look. And he goes and he looks at the squadron's Facebook page and he goes, not if they look like that. How would you like to be on the receiving end of that? That if you think about it, you're going and you're presenting yourself, you're trying to get those tours, do those cool high impact activities, and people are looking at you, at your people and saying, ugh. What you have to remember is when you're wearing these uniforms is that the general public does not look at us and see all the stuff that we're wearing and go, oh, they're CAP. So they're not really Air Force. So we're going to cut that slide. They look at these uniforms and they say, most of them just say, oh, they're military. The ones that know a little bit more about uniforms will say, okay, Air Force. They don't pay attention to the rest of the stuff. You need to portray the image. If you're portraying a positive and professional image, you're going to draw people in. People are drawn to it. So use that. Make sure that you're on top of those grooming standards. Make sure you're on top of uniforms. You're correcting violations. If you're not strong on how uniforms are supposed to be worn, get help. Ask questions. Call people and say, I'm not sure how this is supposed to be done. All right. Consider promoting your page for targeted recruitment. Social media, whether it be Instagram or Facebook, you can actually pay to run targeted ads. Cadet Programs, we are actually going to do this coming up. We're going to start running statewide ads. You can pick, so your squadron is in ABC town, Missouri. You can pick that you want to be in ABC town, Missouri, and expand to, 10, 20, 30 miles, however far you want to go, right? What that does, and you're paying for that promotion, is that then the Facebook algorithms, the Instagram algorithms, then will target people that are in that area. You can set it by age. So you can, hey, we're interested in 12 through whatever. If you're literally running a cadet ad, right? So 12 through 17. So it's going to target those people. You'll see this a lot with your ads that you already on your own social media pages. Like I follow the National Guard, right? They're constantly popping up. It's constantly popping up and saying, hey, look at this. And you go to click on it and it's taking you to their website. We can do that with CAP as well. Once again, you want to make sure that you're targeting correctly. You want to make sure that the information that's on your page is current. You want to make sure that on your pages, you'd also be posting your schedules, posting what you're doing, posting where you meet, posting a contact phone number and email address. And when you post that contact information, make sure you actually pick up the phone. Or when they leave you a message, call them back. You'd be surprised the number of calls that I get through the Wing website of people wanting to join CAP, and then I direct them to squadrons. And I don't know if they ever even tried to find the local squadron. I don't know if they went out that far, or if you have your own page set up. Web pages, there is a national template. It's literally going to be hosted on the national site. You guys did it, right? Yours is up running. So if you have any questions about that, talk to Lieutenant Spry. He can kind of tell you. See, look, he answered me. He can kind of give you a little bit of an idea. I don't think it's that hard to set up. It's a pretty basic template, but it may take somebody with a little bit of IT knowledge. But you can promote your websites.
Question.
Yes.
Do ads have to be approved by Wing or just squadron company or squadron commanders?
Squadron commanders. If you actually go onto gocivilairpatrol.com, you can actually pull up and look at what the social media requirements are as far as how you should structure your page. There's actually also a regulation, and I don't remember the number, but it actually covers social media policy. So it tells you exactly how to identify and what you need to be doing on those pages. But as far as like, if you're going to run targeted ads, no, it doesn't need group or Wing approval. You can run it on your own. The only thing you're going to have to do is, depending on if you're paying for it out of your personal funds or if you decide to use squadron funds through Wing Banker, but no, it does not require approval. Yes.
Pamphlet 152.
Pamphlet 152 is your social media policy. That literally tells you how to set up all of your social media pages. It also tells you the pitfalls to avoid. Any other questions on the social media pages?
Just to back up a little bit, somebody commented, people with access to e-services can run a report called Expiring Members, which gives you a heads up of who's coming due.
Right, that's so that would be pre-expiration. Once they expire and they're out of e-services, you can't pull the information. Yes.
Actually, we just looked at it. You can see within the last 90 days, if you run the membership report, there is an option at the bottom of it that says you can look at the inactive members for the last 90 days.
Okay.
If you select the view membership data as well, it will include their telephone, home phone address, and their email.
So you have 90 days from expiration. Yeah, so you're able to pull, what was the name of the report?
The membership report.
Membership report, and you're able to actually pull the anybody that is inactive within the last 90 days, and then you can select full contact information in the drop downs. So you've got 90 days, but you should be, as commanders, you actually should be checking that members coming up on expiration. You should keep on top of that report as well, so you're able to preemptively be contacting members before they expire. It's a lot easier to keep them in than it is to get them back. All right, recruitment must be a multifaceted approach. Direct member to public recruiting, open houses, public events, social media channels. Colonel Martin was just talking about open houses. How many of you guys have had an open house to your squatter? Okay, how many of your open houses include only people in your squatter? I've seen a lot of open houses, and generally it's, well, yeah, we have an open house. We invite the parents in. There's cake, there's cookies, there's soda, and it's a party. That's not an open house, guys. That is not an open house. An open house means you're promoting it to the public. You're drawing in people that are not in CAP in to see what CAP is. This is your literal dog and pony show. You're literally putting on and trying to draw people in. So that's an open house. Public events. You know, this is the one that's been, we talked about the state fair, right? We're not paying $750 for a booth. Generally, some parades. A lot of times that's like a $500 entry fee. So a lot of these places will require you to pay money, but if you get creative, either you can get them to do it for free, or you can find places that will allow you to do it for free. One of the great recruiting events, believe it or not, how many of you guys do Reese Across America as a fundraiser? Okay. That is an active recruiting event. You need to be actually talking to people, you know, and when they're coming in, if they just walk in and toss the money and walk away, that's one thing. But when you actually have a chance to engage them in communication, actually explain what CAP is, invite them along. The number of times, how many of you guys, anybody in sales? Okay, I'm in sales. All right. You know where most salesmen lose their sales? They don't ask for the close. They go through and they talk their entire sales pitch, right? I'm going to sell you this widget. This widget is awesome. This is what it, you know, this is what it does, all this stuff like that. You know, you like this widget? Yeah, I really like that widget. Okay, cool. And they walk away. I didn't ask you to buy it though. If I would have asked you to buy it, maybe you would have actually bought it. You probably would have. You know, I'm missing you getting your money out of the wallet going, yeah, I want the widget. Problem is I didn't ask for the close. It's the same thing when you're talking about your elevator pitch and you're recruiting in CAP. You have to ask for the close. So when they're what is CAP? What do you guys do? And you go through and everybody have a 30-minute or an elevator pitch? Does anybody know what an elevator pitch is? Right? It's that 30 seconds. You know, think about how long it takes to get from one floor to the next. You got that amount of time to explain what CAP is to somebody and have them understand it. It's got to be quick, concise, and impactful. So you go through and you deliver that, and they're like, wow, that's really cool. The next thing that follows up is, why don't you come out and check us out? This is where we meet. This is what we do. You know, this is where we're going to be. Invite them. Get their contact information. Follow up with it. You don't prejudge people and think, well, maybe they're not a good fit, or you have to get out of your comfort zone and actually engage with people. Most people are by nature shy, right? Most people aren't huge people persons. People. Purple people eater. So you actually have to engage. Get out there and talk to people. How many of you guys like being in CAP? Adam kind of almost raised his hand. All right. I love CAP. All right. I figured it out. I'm a lifer. When I wasn't in CAP, I missed being in CAP. When they finally invented Facebook and all that stuff, and I'm cruising on there, I started following squadrons. I started following CAP. I wasn't ready. I didn't come back until Jen pulled me back in, but I love CAP. I like to talk about CAP. I like to get interested people into CAP. That's what you got. That's what you got to go out and you got to find those people. There's so many people in this world that would benefit from this program, especially cadets. This one, if your unit, yes.
Question about your elevator pitch. Do you happen to have like an elevator pitch that we could give our senior members or even our cadets as like a this is a base. Now we could take away and add things to it.
So you're gonna have several different elevator pitches, and it depends on your crowd. You know who's your audience. So let me ask you this: what's CAP?
Exactly.
No, I'm asking you, what is CAP?
Well, we have multiple different missions. I mean, see, that's where it is.
Okay, so here's your first question. Okay, So when I say, so what does CAP do? Be asking, you know, we have both adult and youth programs.
Right.
Okay, so I'm interested in this. I think my kid would be interested in this. Well, that's going to guide you down that path, right? And you have that chance. Well, we have a military-based leadership program that teaches through a military training structure youth to become the next leaders of America. That's a real basic version.
Right.
Okay. And then, you know, but you and also in the elevator pitch, you want to give them enough information that it piques their interest, but you don't give away the farm. You want them then suddenly now you've delivered your, you know, 10, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever it is. But now you've piqued their interest and now they start asking you questions. Really? So what do you mean military based? Well, we're the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force. We started on December 1st, 1941. That might be an interesting date that you might remember. When they go December 1st, wait, that was right before Pearl Harbor. Exactly. And you kind of talk a little bit about that and you start giving them a little bit more information, but you're drawing them in that conversation. So it literally depends on who your audience is, but it's very basic information. Think about what is CAP, okay? CAP is the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force. We have both youth and adult programs. On the youth side, we're developing the next generation of aerospace leaders. On the adult side, it's literally citizens helping citizens in service to their community, state, and nation.
That's what I'm looking for.
There you go.
And by the way, to tie this with previous breakout, level 2, part 2, one of the moderated sessions, talk to the new member about an elevator pitch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this exact conversation and discussion goes to take place.
How many of you guys,
And, yep, take out your card.
How many of you guys-
Got the times on it and everything.
yeah, how many of you guys carry business cards? And if you use the format that's right on gocivilairpatrol.com, on the back of it, we are the Civil Air Patrol. Wow, it's an elevator pitch. Look, it's got my contact information on it, right? You should be carrying business cards. It's funny the number of times that even in my job that I'll be talking to somebody and of course they comment on my haircut and, oh, you must be, what are you, Marine? No, but I'll go in and I'll explain what I do. Oh, here, let me give you my card. Hey, look at the website on here. This website will tell you all kinds of information. Give me a call, shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. And I'm going all over the place. I know I've been trying to recruit people around Fort Leonard Wood because I got a bunch of customers down there. But if you're able to whip something out, whip out that card, it's got your name, it's got your contact information on it, it's got the website. And literally, if you go on to gocivilairpatrol.com, I don't think it's under media resources, might be under branding or something like that, but it actually has the card builder. It's not the easiest thing to do because you got to work on placement and everything. And if you're like me, you're really anal retentive and everything's got to be perfect. But when you play around, it's literally got all of the branding guidelines that you just literally plug it in and create your business card. And then it's where do you want to print them? I think I used Office Max and it was like $30 and I got like 500 of them or something like that. But you should have business cards. If you had difficulty with recruitment prior to the pandemic, change your methods. If it wasn't working before, it's not going to work now. If your idea was our entire recruitment thing is that the local area has an air show once a year and we go to the air show and we hand out flyers, you need to kind of look at it and say, how many people have we brought in from that? If your entire recruitment method is you're telling your cadets to bring a friend and they never bring friends, it doesn't work, right? Doing this.
You're not engaging those cadets.
Exactly.
You're not getting them excited enough.
You're not getting excited. If your own cadets aren't excited, why would they want to bring in their friends? Or if if you're looking at your cadets, and let's face it, cadets are pretty transparent, right? You can almost see through them, like literally you see straight through a cadet. If the only people they hang out with are the other cadets, well, there's your entire recruitment pool, and you've already got them. Okay. You have to go outside of your own community. And when I say community, it doesn't matter if it's your own neighborhood, your own church group, whatever it is, you have to branch out. You have to get outside of that, because if you've talked up a CAP enough within your own circle, you've exhausted your circle. You got to make your circle bigger. When you make your circle bigger, you're going to draw on more people. And this is also where it comes in. Don't prejudge anybody that walks in the door. You don't know what's behind them. Maybe they're not in the same socioeconomic status, the same demographic, whatever it may be. Maybe they walk in and they tell you, I'm not interested in airplanes. And you go, well, this is the Civil Air Patrol. And you go, and you just kind of dismiss them, right? As a cadet, I'll tell you right now, I hated aerospace education. I did it because I had to. My draw was leadership stuff. That was my whole thing. I had to get out of the Boy Scouts because I kept on trying to make everybody salute me. True story. When you're putting your program on, you should be putting a well-rounded program on, because if you have 5 different young people walk in the door to join your unit, chances are every single one of those people, every single one of those potential cadets is going to have a different motivation to join CAP. Some of them, I'm going to be an Army man. I watch Full Metal Jacket. That's what I want to do. Hold on there, Sparky. But you're drawn, and maybe that's the one that's drawn into the military. Okay. Maybe the other one is totally interested in the STEM stuff, and drones are cool. I love the SpaceX program. Well, now you're targeting towards that aerospace education kid. Maybe one's into the cyber defense, right? All these different people. But if you're not running a well-rounded program and not touching on every single one of those interests, if you focus, well, ours is a heavily leadership-based program. That's what we do in our squadron. Well, then you're going to lose the aerospace cadet. You're going to lose that STEM cadet. You're going to lose the ones that are interested in the other things. You have to make that well-rounded program. Yeah, there's going to be boring stuff for everybody, but you've got to hit all those different cylinders. But yeah, if what you've been doing recently, if you're not bringing people in, you've got to change it. I will tell you this right now. If you're just sitting back and waiting for people to come in and knock on your doors are going to close before long. You have to be actively out there engaging and trying to draw in members. And then it becomes a self-feeding problem. 3 people sitting over here. They have gotten, yep, you. Not so much Colonel Fletch anymore. He decided to defect and go to Texas. But anyway, Colonel Fletch, if you don't know him, is the past commander of the Platte Valley Composite Squadron. Lieutenant Spry is current commander of the Platte Valley Composite Squadron. Major Jawbach is the current commander of the Winsville Composite Squadron. They can attest to you guys that once you have a thriving program and you have cadets coming in, it will multiply. It literally self-feeds on itself, and you will end up with more and more and more and more and more. Adam made the comment, oh, and you know what, Mike, you made the comment, I remember on the phone one the other day too, where we're sitting there doing nothing, and we have 5 new people show up to the meeting. And it's like, where are these? Yeah.
I had the question that was in the general session with Commander's Call. He asked me how many cadets have signed up with our squadron in the last 12 months. I didn't know that answer. I did a little digging while he was doing his other thing. We recruited 18 new cadets in a 12-month period. We didn't push for that. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's 12 months from March to March, rolling calendar month.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a self-feeding program. I know that Adam said the same thing. Just remember, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Stop it. is the definition of insanity. Every activity is a chance to recruit. I don't care what you're doing. If you are doing a CAP thing, an activity, if your people are wearing uniforms, if you're wearing a uniform, I don't care what it is, that is an opportunity to recruit. You need to always be thinking recruit, recruit, recruit. We've all heard the concept CAP is the Air Force's best kept secret, right? Why? Because we're not telling anybody. It shouldn't be a secret. We've been around for a really long time, 80 years. It says it right there on the side. All right, I need to start.
Before the Air Force.
Exactly, before the Air Force. Yeah, we fell under the Army, you know, until they, you know, split off on their own. Yeah, we're older than the Air Force. Why does nobody know about us? Why do we go to active duty installations and they don't even know who CAP is? I mean, look, we're like your little redheaded stepchild, but seriously.
Hey.
But they should know who we are, right? They don't. They look at us and go, you're kind of wearing the same clothes that we do, but it looks funny. Why does it look funny? You go to Fort Leonard Wood and you're probably just going to get saluted because they salute everything.
Just tell them we're Space Force.
Exactly. All right. 2021. All right. So here's some of the fun stuff. Continue to follow cadet coronavirus information pages on GoCivilPatrol.com for updates and waiver information. General Smith will be National Cadet Programs will be issuing some new updated guidance and waivers. Just remember, some of this stuff is not going to apply to us. We're literally on the cusp of hitting phase 3. I would anticipate Missouri Wing being in phase 3 within the next, I'm not going to say it. Soon, guys. The cool thing about phase 3 is that means encampment is a 100% go. But follow along with that. It will give you the updated information. Literally, you go to GoCivilPatrol.com and right at the top, it talks about the COVID-19 information page. Grooming standard waiver is expired. I think we already covered this. It is expired. Reminder to commanders, it is your responsibility, okay? The responsibility of uniforms, the responsibility of grooming standards falls on the shoulder of the commander. So when we see stuff at Wing and we go, ugh, guess who we're reaching out to? We're reaching out to the commanders and we're saying, you need to fix this. All right. It literally falls on you. Missouri Wing Cadet Competition. We just had that in February. Congratulations, Platte Valley Composite Squadron, 3rd consecutive win. One comment about the cadet competition, it was definitely done in a little bit different format this year. We only had 4 teams. You know what? That's cool. We knew this was going to be weird this year, right? But the competition went off. It went off well. I will say this, the point spread between teams 2, 3, and 4, or 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place was 6 points. 6 points. It was razor thin. And that was after Major Dahlbach went back and corrected all of mine and Colonel Sewell's math mistakes. Wouldn't let me take my shoes off to count. So hopefully you guys are spinning up some teams and we're going to get back to where we were last year. This one's important. BDU sunset day is 15 June. Squadrons, you should already be working to get your cadets into ABUs. After 15 June, means 16 June, your cadets, your members have to be in ABUs. No exceptions. And I know it's going to come out and everybody's going to be like, man, this snuck up on me. I promise it's only been 5 years since they announced the transition. So you've got to get them into ABUs. Along that line, you need to be looking at the CAP regulation 39-1. There are significant changes that came out in February of 2020. That regulation was drastically rewritten. There are significant changes. With the ABUs, there are significant changes as opposed to what you can wear on your BDUs. The old style service coat sunset date is 1 August. So senior members can't be wearing them already, but if you have cadets that are wearing the service coats that actually have the 4 pockets, those go away on 1 August. They cannot wear those after that date. They have to be in this style. The important stuff. Encampment will be held 17-24 July, Missouri Military Academy in Mexico, Missouri. If you guys have not gone and ever seen Missouri Military Academy, I encourage you to look up their website and check out the facilities. It is going to be cool. Literally, if you've been to Fort Leonard Wood and done it. No offense to our Fort Leonard Wood people, but if you've gone and done the encampment at Fort Leonard Wood, it was the basic training, dusty, hot, old barracks. It's like going from that to academy level, like 5-star service.
World War II then.
Exactly. It's going to be awesome.
Difference between a government operation and a private sector operation.
Very true. And I won't even talk to me later, and I'll tell you how much that was originally going to cost us. The price is $230. So it has gone up a little bit over the previous encampment. Part of that is to offset, to cover the costs of the additional, of the facility. However, that number is right on target with what National wants us charging for encampments, as well as try to send your kids to any summer camp out there. My daughter went to an in-residence soccer camp 5 days, and it was $550, I think. Well, money well spent. She was out of the house for a week. No, okay, I love my kids. I really do. Anybody want them? SEEP applications are open. So as of right now, so that's why I followed right up after that price thing. Cadet Encampment Assistant Program applications are open in e-services. The one thing I'm going to say about SEEP is you need to remember, this is not a scholarship. It's not just go out there and tell all of your cadets to apply. SEEP funding is designed to help disadvantaged cadets or any, that cadets that may have financial challenges to go to encampment. It can cover the cost of encampment as well as uniforms. But squadron commanders, you are the gatekeeper. So you need to make sure that when that application comes in, that you're actually looking at it and saying, yeah, this cadet deserves this funding. If the parents are rolling up in the Maserati and dropping their kid off and then going back to their $1.5 million house, is probably not a good candidate for SEEP. Okay. So you need to be making sure that you're doing that screening. Civil Air Patrol is not going to ask any extra questions. We're not asking for financial documents. We're not asking for all kinds of, family history in order to judge financial ability. But it's up to the squadron commanders to make sure they're the ones that are screening that and saying, yeah, you know what, this cadet does need to go. When you pull up the SEEP application, you're going to see the criteria. NCSAs are slotted, and about 20 Missouri Wing cadets are attending. Any of you guys that have cadets that are going to NCSAs, if they were slotted first, they have their slotting. They're not getting another slotting like in past years. So basically it came out from National CP that they want as many different cadets to go to NCSAs as possible. So what that means is that they got their primary slotting and they've moved on. They're filling in slots with cadets that haven't been slotted at activities. So basically what they got. On that word, we tell this cadets every year, we put this out every year. When they're choosing NCSAs, when they're going in there, literally if they're picking number 1, that's the list they go down. So if they pick the one they really want was number 10, they're not going to the one they really want. Okay. So they do need to pick carefully. Planning is underway for another cadet NCO Academy and cadet junior officer school in early fall. Hopefully we can do that at Fort Leonard Wood. We will be figuring all that information out. Otherwise we have other options to do that. All right. Follow it up. CAP is emerging from the pandemic leaner, yet more focused on the future than ever. Guys, the best years of the cadet program are still to come. We are coming out, we're coming out a little bit leaner, a little bit skinnier, not as many people. We are going to recover from this. And it's incumbent upon all of us in this room and nationwide to make that recovery happen. But I'm telling you, the best years for the cadet program are yet to come. Who knows? I could see us having a contingent of CAP cadets that are doing the Space Force thing. Maybe we can get overrides in a rocket. That'd be cool. Colonel, can you work on that? Seriously there. Anybody have any questions? This was geared a little bit more towards the senior members. But anybody that doesn't have my contact information, please come get it. I got plenty of business cards. I am here to help you guys. If you have any questions, give me a call. I get emails from some squadron commanders regularly, and some of them I never hear from. And it's like I send emails off and they end up in the netherworlds. So, but if you have questions, I'm here to answer. If I don't have the answer, I will find you the answer. I will find somebody that has the answer.
I have a question. So, I know that we're looking at ways to do recruitment at our squadron.
Mm-hmm.
And, so for, it was a God thing, I guess you could say, but, so we're able to go to the farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be our open house, is at the farmer's market.
Cool.
Yeah, and they're letting us come in free, and they're gonna put us at the front door, so that people have to pass by our table. Okay, that's great. But is there a policy or regulation that I need to follow that we don't go wrong in any way, fashion? We're doing ADUs because of the weather. I don't want any grass blues getting ruined by mud or anything like that, so I call them as ADUs. But, I mean, other than that, is there?
There's not a requirement for any uniform. Depending on some units, when they do their open houses, I'll see, you know, they'll put people in all kinds of different uniforms. If they got a pilot guy, he's wearing the flight suit. If they've got, you know, they'll put cadets in ABUs, or cadets in blues and stuff like that. That's open, whatever you want to do. The only thing that you don't want to do is say you're, it's a Wreaths Across America or other fundraiser. Senior member, if you're conducting a fundraiser, number one, you had to have approval from the wing commander for any fundraiser. Number two, if you're doing a fundraiser, senior members cannot be in uniform. The only thing you can wear is the polo shirt.
It's a recruitment. We're not doing fundraising.
Right. Yeah. So no, the door's wide open. So what I would say is print flyers. You can order them off of, well, there's the media downloads on GoCivilAirPatrol.com. You can actually download flyers to hand out. No, no. You go out there, you do your recruiting.
I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think if it's outside the regular meeting time, you have to publish that to the parents 2 weeks in advance. I think that's the only requirement. Well,
yeah, I mean, that follows any normal activity outside of the meeting. And so, yeah, I mean, you're required the parental permission slips and all that stuff. But if you're talking about regulations specifically governing how you conduct that,
Right.
no.
To touch on that, with phase 2, we may have successful open houses where we might get more than 50 people. 50 people or 50 members?
The phase 2 guidelines, okay, when you're talking about that, those guidelines apply to Civil Air Patrol members.
So 50 members.
50 members. Yes. It actually came up with Winsville at the Wreaths Across America. They had all of a sudden a whole bunch of extra people show up to one of the cemeteries. You can't control the people, right? They're going to come. But obviously, though, when you're talking about those guidelines, those remobilization guidelines, you need to be following it. So the masking and all that stuff. I will tell you this: on the national CP call, masks are not going away in CAP for quite a while. That is gonna happen. We're gonna go into phase 3. We're still gonna be pretty much wearing masks. Some of that guidance is gonna be coming out hopefully pretty soon. I know it's on General Smith's desk to put it out, but even though maybe say the state of Missouri or your local guidelines say, nope, you don't have to wear them anymore, CAP may still require it. So you need to make sure you're following the CAP guidelines. Yes.
There's a comment saying that the old style uniform was already outdated. You mentioned that it was for cadets. Seniors already.
Seniors haven't been able to wear the old style for years.
But they're saying that the old style was phased out August 1st of 2020.
That was actually a misprint in 39-1.
Okay, and then another comment, just a tip, most radio stations allow free airtime for nonprofit organizations. Reach out to your local radio station and find out more.
Yep. And on that note, he mentioned about radio stations are allowing free public service announcements. CAP just published scripts for those PSAs. I believe they're in, if you type in basically anniversary and go civilairpatrol.com, it'll pull up all of your 80th anniversary resources. And I believe it's listed under there that you can go, or at least it'll redirect it to where those PSAs are.
Something else is, I know that I'm on Fort Wood and that's different, but if you have a town that has marquees, they'll usually let nonprofit organizations post on there. I mean, it's like a 3-5 second blurb. So like on Fort Wood, all I put on there was CEP every Tuesday night, building, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, it's done. But it comes up every so often. So it's the same with the cities, the towns and stuff. If you have something that has marquee, like a church, a bank, they'll usually let nonprofit organizations put a blurb on there, you know, or whatever they'll call it.
Yep. So when you do that, you want to think high impact and drawn interest, right? So what's the think about the Twitter 140 characters or less, right? You know, what is the smallest amount of information that I can put out that's going to draw information and draw people in and create interest? You want to create interest. Yes.
I was going to mention, both recruiting, but also with funding, that all the local Walmarts have nonprofit grants that you can get from $500 to $2,000 for activities, and they seem to be pretty liberal with that on giving those out. It's just an online form that you fill out. You have to go talk to your local Walmart branch, but you know, you plan some kind of a community event, a STEM day, something that you can combine with your open house or with, you know, even do it standalone, and you can get some funding for that through Walmart.
But squadron commanders cannot do it. That's where your sponsor members come into play, or family members, because squadron commanders cannot do it, and your senior members cannot do that. It has to be a sponsor member or a family member that is not in Civil Air Patrol that actually goes to them.
Soliciting funds.
Yeah, it's the fundraising deal.
Yep. So anytime you're talking about soliciting funds, you want to look at the fundraising regulation, which is that the one you gave me? No.
I think it's
It's 173-4. Civil Air Patrol members can apply for grants.
That's a grant, that's
That's
not,
a grant.
Yeah, it's a great
You can apply for grants, but it is a fundraising activity. But you're gonna start going out and applying for grants.
Sir,
Make sure it's.
there's a confusion about the codes.
Okay.
to kind of piggyback off of that, if you're looking for fundraising opportunities, go civilairpatrol.com/fundraising/FFR. The Director of Philanthropy has put out a ton of information that you can find, and a lot of it is, these companies are giving away the money.
I was gonna say, headquarters put out an email on fundraising too, because I get it every month.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the new director of philanthropy for Civil Air Patrol, she came in from the private sector. Her entire background is philanthropy fundraising, and she is really transforming that side of fundraising. So go in there, check out the stuff that she's put out, and yeah, like Adam's saying, there's a ton of information out there.
Your biggest one that a lot of people don't tap into is there are thousands of companies that do matching. So if you have a member that works for this company, however many hours they put in, they will just give you money. The biggest one is Boeing. I have a member of my unit that works for Boeing. For every 10 hours that he works for Civil Air Patrol, quote unquote, works, it's $100 to you. Max of like $3,200 per year.
Does that work as a donation? How do you?
It's a donation, it's an unrestricted donation. From both
So you
companies.
just write like a receipt to the company?
Todd takes care of that because it all goes through national headquarters.
But yeah, they have it. My old company had a matching donation. Colonel St. Clair works for Southwest Airlines. They have a matching donation that comes in the form of airline tickets. So when we go and we send our cadets, when we have the competition, we send them to Legislative Day in DC. That is how we're able to send them without us paying for airfare, is on those tickets. So there are a ton of different ways to get funding out there.
You get $500 a year from them.
Yeah, 3M, there you go. You know, so the doors are wide open. And if you think about it, especially in the state of Missouri, we don't have that many squadrons. So there's now group one might be competing against the same resources a little bit, but the majority of you guys, you know, stuff is wide open. When you're looking at cadets that need assistance to go to NCSAs or to encampments or whatever it may be, do you have an American Legion? Do you have a VFW post? You know, a lot of times they are more than willing to help out. There's all kinds of different options out there. Still some confusion about the service codes. Did they say anything specific?
That's a phase out date, so the old style code is August 2020.
Yes, that is what it says in the narrative of 39-1. However, if you go back to where all of the sunset dates are in 39-1 towards the end, that's where you'll actually find the 2021 date. And this has been confirmed with national headquarters.
So the adults was 2020.
The adults was years and years ago.
Okay.
I'm going to say the adults was early 2000s. So if you have a senior member that's wearing the old style, they've been out of regs for decades. All right. Anything else? I'm getting the shepherd's hook. All right, guys. And seriously, if you have any questions, get a hold of me, and I'm more than happy to talk to you.